Today on CityCast Denver. It's been almost exactly 1 year since the world changed.
Welcome, everybody. I am very excited to be here with Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
On August 13th, 2021, South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker sat next to Governor Jared Polis and announced that they were buying Casa Bonita.
Yeah.
Congratulations! Oh my gosh, congratulations.
That's awesome.
It's such a great day. It's such a wonderful day. We did it.
That ended rumors of Casa Bonita going out of business, but it also started a whole new round of speculation about what, if anything, the South Park guys were going to do. They said they were going to change nothing and improve everything. But what exactly does that mean, Matt and Trey? The people want to know.
People really want to know what's happening because everybody has a piece of that restaurant in their memory.
Like the rest of us, 9 News investigative reporter Jeremy Hohola watched with bated breath as the Pink Palace got a fresh coat of even brighter pink paint. But unlike the rest of us, he went one step further and put his investigation skills to work.
And it was the leading article, not only here at 9 News yesterday, it was the leading article company-wide. And the company I work for owns dozens of TV stations across the country. So people have, for lack, sorry about the pun, they have a real appetite.
So today on the show, Jeremy Hohola gives us an inside look at the zillion-dollar renovation of Casa Bonita. Today is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. I'm Bree Davies, and this is CityCast Denver. Jeremy Hohola, welcome back to CityCast Denver.
Thank you. It's always so awesome to be on this podcast. I love your podcast.
Oh, thank you. We love your work. So it's just, I knew if I bugged you to talk about something important, you'd be there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the country right now, but this is the most important thing.
So that's where I want to start. You're an investigative reporter. We've had you on the show before to talk about serious stuff.
Yeah.
But you're turning your attention to Casa Bonita. Why?
Well, I think the restaurant has always been fascinating for us, right? I first went there when I was age 12. We all have these deep-rooted core memories. And I think because it's so important to people here in Denver and Colorado and across the country that as that restaurant undergoes a change, people really want to know what's happening because everybody has a piece of that restaurant in their memory. And it's important to them, and it's a part of us in a way, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, when there was the big news that the creators of South Park were to come in and buy it, that was huge, right? But, nostalgia is such a powerful emotion. I think when something undergoes change that involve our core memories as children, we want to make sure that it's not going to be messed up or messed with because it's a piece of us, right? And so when there was news over the last few weeks about, Casa Bonita undergoing its new Pepto pink, paint job on the outside, I got curious, I'm always nosy as a reporter, right? We journalists are very
It's an unfortunate, it's like a drive that we can't, our families are just like, this is just how this person is.
Yeah.
We can't help ourselves.
No, we can't. And so, as a documented-oriented journalist, I file a lot of records requests, and I've learned over the years that the public record touches almost every single thing that happens. So I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure if they're doing some major construction over there right now, they've had to submit paperwork to the city of Lakewood because the city has to sign off on a lot of that stuff. So out on a whim, I was like, you know what? This is curious. I'm going to file a records request, sent it over to Lakewood, and within, I think, a day, they just kicked it. Yeah, I think, which is shocking. Because the government, as you know, Bree, doesn't really move fast with public records. But I think I got these documents within a day or two. And when I got them, it was like walking into Black Bart's cave for the first time. When you get documents like this, you're like, oh my gosh, what's around the corner? What are these going to have? And it was like, sure enough, there's some really good, juicy tidbits in there.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk about. I mean, first of all, I love that your reporter brain turned on and you were like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to file a Freedom of Information Act request for documents related to a little place called Casa Bonita. And they were like, sure, here you go. So you shared these photos and blueprints and notes that you received from the city of Lakewood through Twitter and then through a story with 9 News about what did you find? Tell me what you saw.
So overall, I think in summary, they are planning on keeping the spirit of Casa Bonita, right?
Sure.
You know, the main elements on the inside that we all know, Black Bart's hideout, the jail, and of course the dive pool. All of that stuff is not going to be messed with too much. But from what I gleaned from these documents, the major renovations are going to be happening to the kitchen area, to the bathroom, and then essentially the restaurant, like within its walls, is going to undergo this complete change and transformation of its guts in a way, from electrical to HVAC systems to plumbing, stuff that desperately needs to be done. I mean, that restaurant, I believe, I remember it was built in the 70s,
right?
Or that location was built in the 70s. So there's still a lot of things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, and the photos are interesting because they're giving us something, but they're not giving, obviously they can't give us the full picture, but I'm thinking about some comments from Matt and Trey earlier this month where they were like, listen, this was like a Kitchen Nightmares episode, right?
Yeah.
Like they went in, they bought the Casa Bonita for $3 million. And then what did you find from the paperwork in terms of what they're having to put into it?
So the renovations, the alterations that they want to do inside and out, the total cost that they put in writing in those documents was about $12 million. And as you know, the Westward was the first to report that Matt and Trey bought Casa Bonita for $3.1 million. So they're spending at the very least.
At the least.
Yeah, at the very least 4 times as much as what they paid for it to fix up the restaurant. I got some feedback from people on Reddit telling me at the South Park reunion concert that they said at the concert they spent already $15 million on the HVAC system.
Wow.
So they're pouring and going back to nostalgia, they're pouring so much money into this restaurant, and it means a lot to them, right? I think it's a testament. I mean, I think it's a testament on how much that restaurant means to them, and they obviously know how much that restaurant means to all of us.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
So we'll share the photos, obviously, with our listeners and where they can find the photos and stuff that you shared. It's interesting because you see like a stripped down version of the place, but like in photos, you can still kind of see the palm trees are still there.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they're fixing all the things that you don't see, right? Like you said, the HVAC, the pool pump that apparently like the plumbing system apparently was a mess. So they're making like the infrastructure better to make the experience better and it's safer. And also I thought something really interesting about your findings was this is a huge upgrade in accessibility.
Absolutely. They're putting a vertical lift on the inside.
Okay.
That way, for people who do use wheelchairs, it'll be easier for them to go to the upper levels of Casa Bonita. And they're putting more ramps.
That's awesome.
They're putting more ramps to make it more ADA compliant. And that's a very specific, big part of this project is to make it more accessible. They're adding lighting, some modern lighting. I could see some references to some projectors that they're going to buy. Lots of new speakers they're going to put throughout the whole restaurant. So it's really going to be modernized. And here's also one thing I didn't add in my report. You know, when you walk into the restaurant to go eat, you always had that chlorine smell that would hit your face, right? Like there's this humidity. They're going to be putting in a system in there to get rid of that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you're not going to have like sopapilla, tainted chlorine or chlorine tainted sopapillas when you're eating by the poolside.
And if anyone's like nostalgic for that, like, no offense, but like it might actually make for a nicer experience for us all, that we don't feel like we're eating at the public pool.
Exactly. I'm really excited about this. I think it's really going to be a big change on the inside, but I think it's, from what I can gather, they're going to keep that Casa Bonita spirit. There was talk that it was supposed to open up this summer. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, there's no way, because, just based on these documents, there is so much work that they have to do and what they're planning that it's going to take, maybe next year.
I was going to say, I may or may not have a friend working for a company that's working on the interior who may or may not have sent me a photo. And I will tell you, it is still sort of down to the studs. Like there's still quite a bit of work to do. And I think that was someone on Twitter told me they spent 2 days scraping dead birds off the roof. Like there was
Jeez. Oh my God.
there was so much, and think about a pool area with Mexican food and carpet. Like what a combo.
And then you got dead birds. You got dead birds on the roof. It's endearing though. Like all of that stuff, the grime, the smell, the kitschiness of it. It really makes that restaurant. It's always made that restaurant. And people have always made fun of it, right? Because it's just so quirky and kitschy, and it's crazy. But I think with these upgrades, I get the sense they're going to keep Casa Bonita as Casa Bonita, and it's going to be better.
Yeah. I think they're doing a smart thing, right? They're competing now with other sort of quote unquote immersive experiences. They're upgrading things to make the experience more interesting. They're changing the number one thing everybody says sucks about it, right? The food. Oh, yeah. They brought in Dana Rodriguez. Like this, I have a lot of hope, but I do wonder. So I have heard this grumbling from folks that are like, this remodel's going to ruin the fun. What do you think, Jeremy? Do you think that we should be worried or should we be excited?
I think there's probably always going to be some sort of level of disappointment because, as we talked about, nostalgia is a very powerful emotion. And when we view the past through our memories, a lot of what we view through our memories is really different. And reality changes a lot over the years. And I think when people do go back seeking that original experience they remember as kids, it doesn't really exist. And so I think, they're really, when you mess with people's childhood memories, especially an iconic thing like this, that is such a compass for a child's memory, growing up in Denver, you're kind of playing with fire in a way, right? Because you're really touching something that can strike a nerve with a lot of people. So I would imagine when people do go back, there's probably going to be some disappointment. But at the same time, you're kind of like you're giving a gloss. You're resurfacing the decay of Casa Bonita, because no doubt, you walk through that restaurant and you see the images and how much work and needs to be done, and the grime and the cracked floors. Go in there and fix it up. But as long as Black Bart's hideout is still there and the lagoon is still there, and there's music, and it's still, it still has that feeling there, I think it's going to be great.
And I think you reported that there's been a promise that Black Bart's hideout will not be messed with.
Yeah, that's what the documents say, that it's not part of the major alterations. So
not to worry.
Yeah, let's see how it looks when you walk through there. It was interesting because the inspector for the city of Lakewood was writing a note in there. They were concerned that Black Bart's hideout only had like one exit. And that was like a concern, but they said, it's fine. We're going to be working on that, make it safer. So there's going to be lighting, and I think with the speaker system, they're going to be doing something. It's going to sound better in there. With all the speakers that they're putting in there. It's going to sound better. They're going to have background music in the bathroom.
Oh, the bathrooms were disgusting. I mean, let's be real. When I read that in your piece, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, there'll be accessible bathrooms. Some of those weren't, but they
Yeah.
were always just kind of dank and smelly. I love it. But I do love this idea that maybe they're putting more of that the new style immersive experience into Casa Bonita with sound and light. And you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but as exciting as it was to see the innards of Casa Bonita that you showed, it's more exciting to me to think about what the finished product's going to be like.
Yeah. What's cool about it is that they're keeping it, right? I mean, this is, Casa Bonita is such a cultural icon in the city of Denver. I mean, it stands out. It literally stands out in this.
It shoots out of a strip mall.
Yeah, it shoots out of the strip mall, this pink tower, and everybody knows it. And so the fact that they're pouring millions into it because it means a lot to them and they know it means a lot to the community is a real testament on who they are. As goofy as they are with their South Park shows and as vulgar as they are, and I'm a huge fan of South Park.
Totally.
I think this is very endearing of them to do this, to keep the restaurant alive because they know how much it means to the community.
Well, Jeremy Hohola, thank you so much.
Yeah, this was fun. I could talk about this all day.
And here's what else Denverites are talking about. Have you ever caught a ride from a guy on a bike outside Coors Field? Well, now you can do that in Cap Hill. According to Denverite, pedicabs can now do business all the way up north to the National Western Center, west through Auraria almost out to Federal, and south into parts of the Golden Triangle. And finally, a toast to the Ace Hardware in Baker. Business Den reports that the 16-year staple at 417 South Broadway is going out of business, thanks to rising labor costs and, you guessed it, rising rents. The building's owner says that the Dollar Tree and Sally's next door will also likely be gone by January as the block is being redeveloped into a new mixed-use apartment complex with approximately 500 housing units. As to where those people are going to ask for help with a leaky pipe, I don't know. Good luck. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell Governor Polis about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye. Now, if only those areas were outfitted with protective bike lanes. Now, if only the city was safe for pedestrians. That's really what I want to say.